Hey, everybody. How's it going? How's it going? This tooth right here is so sore. It's not got a cavity. It's just so loose that, and it's in such a spot. Look at my top teeth. They've, it's like they've been, it's like they've been filed off at an angle. Having a weekend. All right. First things first. Mary Jane is still in the Oshawa Hospital on the surgical floor. That is because she's a really complicated case. She has a neobladder that was built out of a part of her bowel, and her kidneys are down to 20%. And the surgery, the bowel surgery itself, is really tricky. So they go, oh, yeah, I'll attempt that. And then they look at her records and go, no, I'm not going anywhere near that. So first, she was going to go to Toronto General. Then she was going to go um, uh, Princess Margaret. And now they're hoping that she's going to go to Sunnybrook. So, hey, come on now, in. We're home, we're home, we're home. I tell you, this has been a weekend for the friggin' birds. But the truth is, like you guys all know what happened. The truth is, we're really lucky. We're really lucky that the trailer did not snap and go rolling down or hit a car behind us with the race car on the trailer. Okay, because that's how close it was. As we were pulling in, some guy flagged us down and said, "You're lucky you made it here with that trailer." And then how he looked at it and went, "Holy shit!" Right? So he got out. Like I said, Alex came in and with a truck and took Howie and the race car back here. Howie picked up the truck and his welder and came back to the races, fixed the trailer enough to get it home. But those tongue pieces are going to have to be replaced. And when he did his time trial, they gave him his money back for Sunday. When he did his time trial, the axle broke at the back of his car, in the back of the race car. And we're really lucky that he wasn't going 100 miles an hour at the other end of the track when it let go, right? So we got to count our blessings. Tomorrow, I'm taking Briar to Ottawa to go to the eye doctor. So Patreon Monday will probably be early or late. I haven't decided yet. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Linda. Kathy. Well, I'll say hi to everybody when people get in here. I know my live streams have been all over the place, right? But Mary Jane is on the surgical ward at the Oshawa General Hospital, and she's being kept on morphine, and she's got fluids in her IV, and she's got a catheter going out, and she's just being kept comfortable until they can find somebody. Because if she doesn't get this bowel surgery, it's going to it's completely not twisted, but it's completely blocked. When they did her colonoscopy, they couldn't even get the scope around the first bend. They couldn't get the scope through. So that means she's lost 35 pounds. She's been living on fluids, right? Well, she's stable for now, but I mean, they've got to do something. They've got to do something, right? I mean, I was all over the place, but then I was expecting, when she said they're flying me to Toronto, I'm expecting like boom, boom, bang, boom, boom, airlift, right? But they got to find a surgeon and a hospital that will do this really tricky surgery on her. Whoops, sorry, whoops, shit. Sorry about that. I forgot where I was for a minute. Yes, Alex is the one we call the good son. And I told him, I said, you know, since I've said that I wanted to do the colors of your quilt, folks have been sending fabric for your quilt. And he said, oh, so it's going to get done quick? I said, no, you'll get it for your anniversary next July, in July. Okay. I said, I got 3 others on the go. So I'll be able to take Briar his quilt tomorrow, because I have to go pick him up in Gatineau, take him to Ottawa to the eye doctor. And I was going to make the appointment at the same time for me. And then I realized I'm not going to have any money except what gas Briar puts in the truck. Because get this. Now, does everybody remember about my disability tax credit? And that I was approved for multiple disabilities going back 10 years? Does everybody remember that? Oh, yeah, my pen. It was my pen, right? So, hey, Nat. Oh, wow. Big deal. 71. No, I don't get disability payments. That's a good question, Dawn. I don't get disability payments because I'm what is known as functionally disabled. What does that mean? It means I can't work anywhere except for myself. And this is my job. YouTube is my job. And I've been doing a really crappy job at it for the last year, but things are getting around. But I'm what is known as functionally disabled, which means once a year I should have applied, right? Because when I found out that I qualified, right, I went to the doctor and the doctor went, okay, yeah. Going all the way back to 2012, I was approved for the once a year disability tax credit, right? I can't stand my friggin' government, because if what's happening is true, I'm going to be really upset, right? Well, they go back 10. I was approved back to 2012, but they only go back to 2014, right? So I've been waiting because I had my taxes done in May. And I finally get this back and it goes, we've been through your taxes for the last 10 years and you're getting a refund of $3,600. $3,600 for 10 years of disability tax credit back payments. I don't understand where they got that number, because I've paid my taxes every year. Well, there was the COVID time when I had to do 3 years all at once, but all my taxes are paid and up to date. So how did they say I qualified for multiple disabilities going back 10 years and they still only come up with $3,600? I mean, you saw it all over Facebook. Apply for the disability tax credit. You could get $80,000. $3,600 for 10 years. So I'm really upset about that, right? I'm really upset about that because the person who told me about it works at Revenue Canada in the Benefits and Claims Department, and they went back 10 years they approved her 10 years for anxiety, and she got $11,000. Now, the only thing I can possibly think of is that they went back through my taxes and found some mistakes, and that's because they said this is a refund. But Howie said no, he went back through all of them, because there was one point it said that I had like $9,000 coming. So how did they manage to drop 6,000 off of that? I don't understand any of it. But that's the government in Canada right now. That's the government in Canada right now. Well, here it's 10 years. So my dream of getting a check for $76,000, which was an actual dream that I had, Turned out to be 3,600. It's not even enough to get me new teeth. You want to see? Look. Ow. Look at this tooth. It's like this. And it's so painful when it moves, but I don't want to pull. I don't want to go like that. It's been so sore. I just don't want to, right? Hey, Tina. Oh, really? Call Revenue Canada? So when I go on the website, that took, that it took me 3 days to figure out what was assessment and what was a reassessment, right? And they have this little thing that pops up that says talk to an agent. But the categories they give you to talk to them about, none of them apply for this. So no, I didn't get to talk to anybody. It's just, I'm going to try tomorrow. I'm going to try. You know what? Hang on a second. I'm going to go over here and check it. See if anything's changed, okay? Yeah, I'm signing in. This may take a few minutes. You mean a few friggin' years. Hang on, here we go. No, I always do multiple step verification, always. See if there's any new mail in my mailbox. Oh, bugger off. No, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Chat with CRA. That's a bunch of crap. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These are my notices of reassessment. Okay. I don't know how half of them, it says DR. Like I owed them money after I've paid all my taxes. Right? And by the time they finish taking off what they think I owe them, I'm left with next to nothing. Oh, that's wonderful. Keith Urban concert. So when are you flying? When are you coming into Ottawa? When I got mine, I got 29,000 because they said I shouldn't have been denied the first time. Here you generally always get denied the first time. I wasn't denied. I was not denied. Listen. This is in May. We are writing about your eligibility for the disability tax credit. Please keep this letter for your records. It contains important information about the DTC eligibility and any further disability tax credit certificate requirements if applicable. We have completed our review and determined that you are eligible for the disability tax credit from 2012 to 2030, which means by I'm still going to get one every year. But it doesn't say how much it's for. And I don't get it. No, this isn't disability, Charles. I'm not on disability. I have not applied for disability. I'm functionally disabled, which means I'm unemployable anywhere except by myself. So I'm self-employed. So I've had my taxes done every year by an accountant, and I've always paid my taxes. So if I am functionally disabled with mobility issues, severe arthritis, depression, what else? a few other personal issues we won't talk about, right? Anxiety, right? Like anxiety, mobility issues, depression, severe arthritis, fibromyalgia. There's 5 right there that I know right off the top of my head that I was declared disabled, functionally disabled, right? And then they go back 10 years and they say they're cutting me a check for $3,600. It should have been a minimum of $10,000. I don't understand, because this is supposed to go back 10 years. But what they did was apparently they went through my taxes to find a way of not to pay me. I'm no good for permanent disability. I'm already 61. I'm already 61. 5 herniated discs in my lower back, 3 in my neck, 4 in the middle of my spine, severe spinal stenosis. I had a friend on the internet who had spinal stenosis. It was constant surgery after surgery, putting rods in their back. Bone spurs, a tumor on my spine, and I have to have an MRI. Oh my God, Charles. Done every 6 months to make sure it's not growing fibromyalgia. The list goes on and on. I'm only 41 and I've had back surgery. Oh my God. Oh, honey. I never understood why some approval periods are so short. That's why only 6 years on multiple disabilities, some of which will never go away. I feel your frustration. My son's for autism expired at 18. Yeah, it's called aging out of the system. Then they have, because he's an adult, they have to do it all over again. You have to reapply all over again for him as an adult. But so much for getting my teeth fixed, because I talked to my dentist, and it's going to cost, like, we get $1,000 a year. Fuck, I may start a GoFundMe for me to get my teeth done. I'm tired, folks. I'm tired. My gums, these gums back here are, they're flayed. They're flayed from me trying to chew with no molars, right? I got a few on the bottom, but none on the top. And then this tooth is loose. So every time I try to chew here, this always gets hit. So I sent an email to my dentist, and for them to take out the rest of my teeth, I'd have to do it in 3 sittings with freezing. And that's going to cost $2,900 of only $1,000, which is covered. $1,000 up to 80%, which is what I'm covered for. And then I got to wait until I can afford dentures. Is an earring of this. Yeah. And it's very, spinal stenosis is crippling. Yeah, it's a narrowing of the spinal column, which correct me if I'm wrong, Charles, your spinal column is the holes in your discs where your spinal cord goes through. Okay. So if the spinal column is constantly narrowing, it's going to constantly start, you get your herniated disc, but it's also going to narrow on the spinal cord until it can no longer. Did I get that right? Hi, Sybil. My mother had to pay well over $12,000 for her dental work, and us girls helped. 12 grand. Well, I'm going to get on the phone tomorrow, and I'm going to start phoning denturists in Gatineau, because I don't want to go to my dentist and have to go through 3 sittings of getting my teeth out, right? 3 sittings. Heal, 3 more. Heal, or, this set, and 3 different times. I friggin' hate freezing. They have to give me the maximum amount of freezing because it doesn't work. I would rather just see a dental surgeon, right? And get put under and have all my teeth taken out at once. And then you know, try and find and then hopefully the denture, the dental surgeon is a denturist, and hopefully they'll give me payment plans for for my. Okay, Linda. What do you mean? Yeah, yeah. You have a long tube that your spinal cord goes through on your entire spine, and it narrows in spots, which is the stenosis, and will pinch on the spinal cord. Yeah, okay, so I got it right. Bev, if you go through having it done in surgery, it's still $3,500. Jesus wept. I can't handle this. Like Howie said, we're going to get your teeth done. I said, that's not enough money. It's not enough money coming back for me to get my teeth done. My freezer's died. I need a new freezer. I'm not going to get a big one. I'm just going to get another small-ish one, like a smaller one than the big one. And I was going to buy a brand new freezer. I was going to buy a side of beef. I was going to stock my pantry. Fat friggin' chance now. See, none of mine are broken below the gums, honey. They're just all loose. I wish I could zoom. Can I zoom? How do I zoom? What is this? But these, loose, 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 loose. And this one is so loose, it, it is so loose that the next one to it is already loose, right? I can claim getting my teeth done on my income tax. I'll have to ask my accountant about that. Hey, Grammy Karen. Mine are just, good morning, Laura. Mine are not broken. I'm suffering bone loss, and that's another issue, right? Because they'd love to do implants. Oh, we'll put a piece of bone in there. No, no. Why? Because they'll put the bone in there, and then they'll screw the pins down in, and then the original bone will continue to disintegrate. But the bone they put in and the pins they put in will actually weaken what's left of the bone in my jaw. So I have to go with dentures. The only thing I can think of is to have my teeth taken out and then get one of those boil set of dentures. Not the ones that only go on the sides. There is ones that open wide up and you can get them to fit right to your mouth. I might try those. I think they're like, I don't know how much they cost, but hey, Joanne. Yeah, well, you see, here's the problem. Here's the problem, Joanne. She says, everyone here in the US, we have Medicare and Medicaid, and I didn't have to pay for anything for my dentures. I'm not 65. Howie's only 58. And between the two of us, okay, I phoned the federal government, or I phoned the Quebec RAMQ, and they said, no, it's a federal program. So I phoned the federal government, and I had 2 strikes. And it only takes one to say, no, you can't have it. 2 strikes. Between Howie and I, we make too much money. And the second strike, we already have dental coverage, even though it's only $1,000, 80% of dental work up to $1,000, and it doesn't cover dentures. So I'm on the in between because I was all excited about, when I was at the wedding, because, Alex's family, his mom's had all her teeth done. His sister's had all her teeth done, and it was all covered, right? Guess what? It's not covered for me. Wow. Oral surgeon puts you under medical. Sandra, are you Canadian? Forgive me if I don't already know that. Forgive me if I don't already know that. Because all comes down to money. Yeah, really, eh? Here's the thing. We're supposed to be free. But I gotta, even if my house is paid for and my property, my vehicles are now paid for, except for the motorhome, which is another 5 years, right? Or 6. My vehicles are now paid for, right? If I paid my house off and my loan off right now, if I paid off the motorhome right now, we would still be charged $900 a month for home and auto insurance, because they got, I went to the insurance company, they knocked it down $75. Ooh. So I still pay $900 a month in home and auto insurance, and $145 a month for license plates. Okay? So even if my house was paid for and all my vehicles and everything were paid for, I'm still paying insurance. I'm still paying license plates. I'm still paying property tax. And if you don't pay your property tax, they'll take your home, right? What would it take for everybody in Canada who works and pays taxes to stop paying taxes? I'm not suggesting people stop paying taxes. I'm saying the government would collapse if all of us hard freaking working people decided not to file our taxes for 3 years. The government would go crazy, absolutely batshit crazy, because they're spending more than they're taking in, and they're taking 40% of our life. Tell me I live in a free country, okay? We spend 40% of our money to the federal government, and I can't get teeth as an elderly person. Exactly, Tina. Exactly. Fell over a friend's deaf-blind dog, face planted on rocks, need whole mouth replacement dentures. The price I was quoted, 2 prosthodontists, 1 cheap, 4,000 equals 17,000, 145,000 is 66,000. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start getting my teeth out. And then I'm going to boil the dentures. And they're flexible and you stick them in your mouth. Homeowners insurance? How does homeowners insurance pay for my dentures? On Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Well, I was diagnosed in 2012 with fibromyalgia. So, you're not talking to me. Okay. Whew. You fell over her homeowner's insurance should cover you for liability. My property taxes are $56 a month. A month. So while it's being paid with my mortgage, they wanted me to pay my mortgage off in the next 3 years, and I told them where to shove it, because we have a loan. I got it all backwards. I should have been making double payments on the loan, but I thought I'll pay the mortgage right down, and then I'll get the mortgage to take over the loan. And then they said, no, we're not going to do that. So I said, great. How much is left owing on my house? And they said, it's going to be $500 a month. I said, $500 every 2 weeks. It was every 2 weeks. I said, for this, I've been paying $350 every 2 weeks for 3 years, and that's double the payment. And they said, oh, well, the tax has gone up. My interest went up 2%. And they said, oh, well, it's going to be over the next 3 years. I said, no, it's not. I said, how far can I stretch it? And they said, why? I said, how far can I stretch this rest of this mortgage? They said, 16 years. I said, do it. They said, why do you want to do it like that? I said, because I've been paying you guys off double payments for 3 years, and you're not going to absorb my loan. So guess what? You're getting the hind tit now, and I'm doing double payments on my loan. Boom, done. Easily. $56 a month for my property and my property taxes. So you do that. You do that over 12 months, right? That's like $6,000 a year. Or am I paying double? I don't know. I don't know. If an accident happens on your home property, then here in the United States, the homeowner's insurance can pick it up. Yeah, that would work. Well, I'm going to have to talk to an oral surgeon, but here it's all privatized. It's all privatized. So, give her. I think tomorrow is going to be another Manic Monday tomorrow night because I just do not have the strength to do a Shuffle Stomp Sunday. So tomorrow, and I'm not going to be here for the 4 o'clock Patreon live. So it's going to be like 8 o'clock tomorrow night. I will, 8 or 9 tomorrow night, I will do a Manic Monday. More than that, well, I don't know. I don't pay attention because I pay it with my mortgage payment. Like the property tax gets covered when my mortgage payment gets done. Right? Hey, Make Believe, how's it going? We want to retire, and yet our Blue Cross will be a minimum of $500 a month, and neither of us has medical issues. And only one prescribed med for me. Yeah. And Howie's on like 8 meds. Right? So, I mean, I'm so sick of living. I love my country. I really love my country. I have always been a patriot to my country. Okay? But for 2 pins, I would sell everything. And oh, that's another thing. I would sell everything and go to Costa Rica. But that's the problem too. The government has it now so that if you sell everything, they will put capital gains on 65% of it if you are not reinvesting that money back into this country. So in other words, they're going to take your payment. I would sell everything, but then they're going to take a chunk because I decided I don't want to live here anymore. So I have to have it's like an exit tax. Oh God, I saw that. I wish we could have been at the one for Ottawa, but I think that one's not until tomorrow. It is extortion. It is extortion. The government takes, okay? The government takes 40% of our income. 40%. And get this. When Howie blew his shoulder and had to go on unemployment insurance for the first time in the 30 years we were together, they only give you 56% of your income every 2 weeks. But they cap the income off at $56,000. So even if Howard made $200,000, there's no way they're going to give him employment insurance at 56% of $200,000. He doesn't make that. Trust me, he doesn't make that. So they cap it at $56,000. So you only get, 60% of $56,000, no matter how much you make. So that's our government at work for you, folks. Okay, Joanne, take care, sweetheart. Don't overdo it, okay, babe? Right? First day off of 30 days off. Oh, you could, hey, Dave, are you in, you're taking a, you got a month off? So, yeah, that's kind of what's my life is like. So I'm going to do some research on dentures that you can boil and stick in your mouth, and then I'm going to start getting my teeth out. But I'm going to talk to an oral surgeon first in Gatineau, because maybe in Quebec it's covered. I don't know. But all I know is that look at the angle. They're worn off at an angle because this is the side I have been chewing on. This little bit of space is all I have to chew. I have it over here, these two right here, but this is the loose tooth. And it's so loose that it catches on my top teeth every once in a while. Hey, Yoshi! Where you been? It's Stephanie, right? Is it Stephanie? Spending the day at home and Yeehaw Junction. Then tomorrow I'll head north towards the cabin in Tennessee. Ooh, we're going to have some nice fall weather there, eh? The leaves are changing faster than a jackrabbit on a date here. Because Howie and I went out last week and they were changing. And then we went to the racetrack this week, and they're just like more and more. Oh, that's okay. I'm not having a good time right now. But that's okay. It's all a part of the experience of life, right? And are we going to talk about Charlie Kirk? Because I've actually seen people rejoicing at what happened to him. Now, everybody knows I'm not a practicing Christian. I follow Judeo-Christian ethics. I am a follower of Christ, his teachings, but I don't consider myself a Christian, okay? But after I got off the live stream about being all upset about my cousin Susie, I walked out into the living room and Howie said, "Do you know Charlie Kirk?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I watch him every day." And he said, he's dead. I went, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, he's been shot." And I wanted to collapse right there. It was like, because you don't realize that when you even though you don't interact, when you watch somebody because you enjoy their honesty, you enjoy their straightforwardness and all of those things. And then, I mean, all he ever did was go around to college campuses and have open debates. And it got him killed. And I don't understand this world where, what was the guy's name who died with his knee on his neck? Hey, Mark, how did the protest go? Did you see it? Hey, Potato Head. George Floyd, thank you. Okay. Here's what, it was a horrible thing that happened to George Floyd. Horrible thing that happened to him. There was no excuse for that. But there was also no excuse for the rioting and the looting that Black Lives Matter triggered. And all the money that Black Lives Matter made did not go back into the Black communities that needed the help so much. They spent it. They bought $1 million homes and stuff, right? None of that money went back in to the community that they were so said to support. Okay? So here's what you'll look at when someone dies and it makes an impact. George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, looting, rioting, burning, killing of people. Charlie Kirk dies, and everywhere you look, it's nothing but prayer vigils and sadness, except for the few genuine asshats who go, ding dong, the witch is dead. Oh, and by the way, for all of you who say that's so tragic, remember it was in God's plan. If I could have gone through the camera and sat down with that young woman and said, do you realize the kind of harm you're doing? Because now I didn't always agree with Charlie Kirk. Didn't always agree with everything he said. But what I did agree with was the fact that he was firm in his faith. He was honest, and he was not racist or anything else. He was honest, and he stuck to his faith, right? And he would debate anybody, right? But I mean, when it came right down to it, nobody could fault his logic, right? Oh, am I buffering already? And it's not saying that it's a problem with my connection. So it's the topic of conversation. Hey, Joe Mama. I'm fine, Joe. I'm fine. My cousin is in a holding pattern still at Oshawa General on the surgical floor. She's been turned down by 2 surgical staff at 2 hospitals. Now they're hoping for Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto to take her on because of her kidneys, because of her neobladder, which is a rebuilt bladder that had been rebuilt with a part of her bowel. Okay. And the constricture of her bowel, the bowel surgery is tricky at best, but her kidneys are at 20% and she has a neobladder. Nobody wants to touch her, right? I do believe I have lost some weight. Hang on, I'll go check. I haven't eaten yet today. I've had my shower. Oh, although I ate quite a bit yesterday. Oh, come on. Hi ho, silver. Away. I've put on 2 pounds because I ate yesterday. I only usually eat supper, and then because I eat at night. I eat at night because I have to take medication. Remember, I've had gastric bypass surgery. My stomach wall is really, really thin. And some of my one medication is really hard on my stomach. So I have to have a snack when I go to bed. And it's usually fruit, right? Last night it was clementines and a bag of chips because it was the weekend. And the night before it was grapes. So I know it's heartbreaking. It is very heartbreaking. Hey, Linda. So, I mean, this is my point about love and light. Okay. And this is what's nuts. Okay. I did a stitch on TikTok with that girl who's going, ding dong, the witch is dead. And I said, this is the problem with the world. That people can actually rejoice in a genuinely wonderful man's death. Okay? This is why we work so hard at loving even the evildoers, at least praying for the evildoers. Okay? Because this is what the dark side wants. It wants us angry. It wants us frothing and arguing and all of this stuff. But we can't succumb to that because it just snowballs. So this is what the dark side is trying to do, right? So anyway, having said that, I stitched it and said, this is the problem with our world. We need to be able to fill ourselves full of the love and light of God's love so that it parts the darkness wherever we go, right? But I saw another TikTok of a guy with a big picture of our prime minister, and he was singing a gospel like, you know how they get he was saying F you, go F yourself, go F yourself. And it was done to gospel music. And I thought it was hilarious. So I did a duet with it. Right. And one person commented, "Oh, pure light and love, eh?" And I said, for starters, this is comedy. And you cannot compare this. Me doing the little dance to go F yourself to our prime minister. Okay. That's not negative. That's just fun. And you cannot compare that to somebody rejoicing at the death of Charlie Kirk. I said, give your friggin' head a shake. Right? Hey, Grogus. Exactly. Right? Like even people criticized his wife because she said, if you think you've stopped his mission, they've just amplified it now by killing Charlie Kirk. Every good person on the face of the earth became Charlie Kirk. I'm Charlie Kirk. You're Charlie Kirk, right? Not necessarily his views, but his love for humanity, right? You can tell how things happen by the way people react. So, and I agree with the guy on TikTok who said, if you're on my TikTok and you even think about smiling about the death of Charlie Kirk, you're gone. You're gone. Right? Yeah, and they don't realize what they've done. What they've done is they have made us all. Like I was posting stuff. There was this Christian group in New Zealand who was doing the warrior dance for Charlie Kirk. There was vigils in Australia, vigils all over the world. Remember when Kennedy was shot? That echoed across the world. And Kennedy was a political figure. Charlie Kirk was just a man of faith and honesty who believed his faith so strongly that it didn't matter what anybody said. They couldn't shake him. I have that kind of faith in my life. Not exactly the same, but it doesn't matter what you say. You can't shake my faith. All this did was fire up all the people of basic Judeo-Christian ethics and faith across the world. Across the world. This is not political. This was, they couldn't shut him up fast enough. Okay, honey, I got to tell you this. Please do not attempt to talk to the trolls, okay? Because that's all they want is your attention. Don't feed the trolls, okay? They're trying to get me to say things that will put strikes on my channel or have my video taken down, and I won't go there. So just ignore, okay? Oh, yeah, Linda. Oh, I'll do it. There we go. Yeah, of course it's good versus evil. And everyone's like, oh, we don't know yet if it was somebody in the crowd. Oh, yes, we do. It wasn't anybody in the crowd. It was a sniper from 200 yards away almost. A shot like that, not in the head, not in the heart, right through his throat where his voice comes from. Tell me that wasn't intentional. Charlie Kirk has been promoted, okay, because they made a martyr. They made a martyr who was killed for his beliefs out of him. And the world is not going to stand for it. Hey, Jennifer. When you take out the backbone of, so hi, Kelly. How's Australia? When you take out the backbone of social integrity,